Wrestle Kingdom, the basically their version of WrestleMania. New Japan Pro Wrestling hosted Wrestle Kingdom 13 this year on January 4th, which is also the 20th anniversary of the Finger Poke of Doom and the beginning of the end of the Monday Night War, such as Mick Foley winning his WWF Championship for the first time. So, yeah. I'm not going to talk about the entire event of Wrestle Kingdom because I was asleep, and I prefer sleeping because I have a job over staying up late to watch a huge show like this. So I decided that I'm going to talk about the matches separately as opposed to how my previous videos have been talking about the best matches, because let's be real, a lot of the matches on the show, yeah, they were of high quality from what I was hearing, except for one, though I'll probably talk about that one too. Now, if you're wondering about this artwork here, it's actually, and no, not the match card. That was by New Japan's site. But the one that you just saw was made by, I could be pronouncing this wrong, Tapla. He's an artist on Patreon. He has a Patreon account. He's also on Twitter. He's also on he's also on DeviantArt, but he left that site. He was actually, his artwork, I do believe I gave credit to that. It has been a year, but I did use his artwork and kept his name and kept his credit because I'm not a con artist, and I actually respect the hard work that these people do. So yeah, I'm not going to be those kind of people that go ahead and blur out the names or try to edit it out just so they could say I made it. But yeah, So I got in contact with him and says, "Hey, can I use your artwork in my discussion video?" And he agreed, and he said, "Yeah." And I told him I would give him credit, and I even told him I might do a commission with him in the future, but that right now that might not be until a little bit later this year. But I want to talk about this match that I had called was going to be very important for the future of New Japan Pro Wrestling: Kazuchika Okada, the Rainmaker, versus Jay White, the Switchblade. And this is a culmination of over 365 days of build, of developing this guy, of building him up as the next big star in New Japan Pro Wrestling. That reminds me, and I said this on Twitter, and I said in a video highlighting his 365-day career, that he was basically like what Brock Lesnar was to WWE, except whereas Brock Lesnar is lazy nowadays, Jay White's going to actually put in the time and effort and dedication. I'm talking about like early Brock Lesnar, 2002. Like they spent like several months building him up to make him WWE champion. They've spent a year so far building Jay White up to eventually become the next face of the company, pretty much. So we see that, so this whole storyline between Kazuchika Okada and Jay White started back at Wrestle Kingdom's Aftermath, New Year Dash, where Jay White, after losing to Hiroshi Tanahashi, who is in a match with Kenny Omega for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship of the World, he goes ahead and is invited to Bullet Club by then leader Kenny Omega, and White seemed to accept, then turned on him, and then after a post-Wrestle Kingdom 12 conference, White was announced as a member of Chaos instead by Kazuchika Okada, and he expressed his ambition towards the leader Kazuchika Okada, saying that he's not going to fall into the background, and like several other members of Chaos, and in response Okada said that White was not at his level yet, and if they were to wrestle in the future, he would realize that. And Okada and Jay White took that as offense because, come on, you're underestimating this guy. He would his year was insane. He not only defeat Kazuchika Okada at the G1 Climax, I'll talk about that match at a later date. He also defeated Hiroshi Tanahashi, the eventual winner of the G1 Climax. He beat Kenny Omega clean. That should say of how much this guy's getting billed. And if you have Kazuchika Okada stunned into silence like, beat Omega? He's only been here for a month. And that should say where this was going. So, yeah. He eventually would cause eventual rift within the group when how eventually Okada and Jay White's tensions with each other start to affect Chaos and affect the faction system that's in New Japan Pro Wrestling, as far as I know. Where basically Chaos and Bullet Club kind of were fighting for him. Like, Chaos had him, Bullet Club, parts of the members after Jay White had defeated Kenny Omega, the Bullet Club split down the middle between Cody Rhodes and Kenny Omega, then ultimately splitting again with the Elite and the BCOG. The Elite would leave the Bullet Club faction altogether and leave the power to the OGs. So, and they would eventually go on to recruit Jay White, who, was responsible for this whole thing, pretty much. Yeah, he's basically responsible for Kazuchika Okada losing his title reign, and eventually Okada managed to lose not only Jay White when he finally turned on him, when he finally said, I'm doing it, he also lost his mentor, his kind of like how they described as a father figure, Jito, and then his also fellow tag team partner, Jado. They defected and joined up with Jay White, and then it was revealed that he had aligned with Bullet Club OG, leading to this chaotic moment where Jay White basically has all this power. And I think it was hinted at, I think he said this, that Jay White has a mole within Chaos. So think about this. In 1 year, Jay White had effectively beaten the 3 top guys they had in New Japan, and albeit only one of them was clean and the other 2 were cheating. But he had also split Bullet Club down the middle. He tore apart Chaos and fractured its power. And now he's leader of the Bullet Club. That's a saying of how his year was. And then it's announced that it would be a special singles match between White and Okada. Switchblade versus the Rainmaker. I was saying, this is when Rainmaker's coming back, because Kazuchika Okada, after he had lost the IWGP Championship at Dominion to Kenny Omega, Kazuchika Okada kind of went into this depressed state where he would start losing matches. He wore long trunks. His hair was red. He kind of started acting more crazy a little bit. It was actually kind of entertaining, and everyone did want to know how is he gonna finally return as the Rainmaker. And I predicted about a week or so before when the match was announced that Jay White would bring back the Rainmaker by challenging to this match at Wrestle Kingdom. And then we get to Wrestle Kingdom, and Jay White is all clad in white clothing from his trademark black, and his manager and now fellow conspirator Jito is involved with the group. And sure enough, Okada comes back and he's donning the Rainmaker gimmick. I was like, called it. I win, everybody. I win the prediction war on this. And I also had predicted that this match has to be something that Jay White needs to win, because this guy is going to be the future of New Japan Pro Wrestling. I can guarantee that. So he had to win. Basically, this feud was basically to be everything Jay White says he is, as the Switchblade, he has to win. To be everything Kazuchika Okada once stood for, he has to win as well. So basically, one wins, the other loses something. And sure enough, this match was... Here's the disappointing thing about this match. I wanted a 20 to 25 minute matchup between the two. They only got in 14 minutes and 20 seconds. I kept hearing there might have been time constraints, given that also there was an incident with Will Ospreay and Kota Ibushi, and Kota got injured with a concussion, but I'll talk about that match when I can. But yeah, then all this stuff was happening. There were time constraints apparently, and they had to cram up a whole bunch of time to Tetsuya Naito and Jericho and Hiroshi Tanahashi and Kenny Omega for their matches. So yeah, this got the 4th longest match, since Will Ospreay and Kota Ibushi was 18 minutes and 13 seconds. I'm not counting the pre-show match because it's a pre-show match. But yeah, this was basically where this was going. I was hoping that Jay White Switchblade would go on to fight the Rainmaker, the purest form of Okada, to really cement that this is going to be a big deal. And sure enough, Jay White is very hated in Japan right now. He was very hated by the crowd of nearly 40,000 people. And yet they seem to be more passionate than the WWE modern crowd. That should say something that there's a problem, unless it's New York or certain other cities in the US, but that's a completely different matter. But eventually, they played in this one major factor that really was going to show, so either A, this is going to do an underdog story, or B, they're going to have Jay White win, is when the commentators, I was listening to the English broadcast for first, but I don't know if there was the Japanese one, but still. I don't recall which commentator it was, but they did keep saying that Okada's body might finally be starting to give out. Like, yeah, that's what they were going for. They were suggesting that Okada's years of being champion and trying to basically dominate New Japan Pro Wrestling was finally catching up to him. All the wear and tear he had been going through, putting himself through, was finally gonna make his limit reach here, and this was it. He was basically gonna fall apart. And when that idea happens, that's like, yeah, this is a big deal. And sure enough, Jay White and Kazuchika Okada, they delivered actually a pretty awesome reversal sequences. That was actually the highlight of the match for me. I just loved how they kept doing reverse after reverse after reverse and trying to connect their finisher. But, yeah, eventually Jay White would get the upper hand and be this dastardly heel, actually being booed by the fans instead of being the heel that everyone wants to cheer for because, hey, he's awesome at what he's doing. But, and like, basically he's kind of New Japan's answer to Tommaso Ciampa of NXT. Like, he's not at that level yet where he can play, where he doesn't have to have music and just let the boos be his music. And then he could go on the microphone and do what Kenny Omega did, say, boo me, and whatnot. Whereas Kenny Omega said, cheer for me. But, eventually, Okada looked like he was going to get the victory by hitting the Rainmaker clothesline. However, when he tried to go for a second time, Jay White countered and did the Blade Runner maneuver, which is basically Sister Abigail by Bray Wyatt. That's where I mostly know about it. And sure enough, Jay White defeats Kazuchika Okada clean, even though there was an attempt to cheat, but Okada managed to escape without getting struck by the cheating weapon. So really, this was a clean victory for Jay White. He had defeated the Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada, the purest form of Okada. And Don Callis attributed his 2-year championship reign and immense punishment Okada had endured to say this. This was actually the best line of the night for me, the best line of the commentator of that match. Don Callis says this: too many minutes, too many matches, too much abuse. Basically summing up that because Okada put so much work into being IWGP champion, it affects his long-term health, and how basically Okada kind of brought this on himself, so to speak. But yeah, now he was unable to defeat the surging Jay White. The Switchblade has now all the power. It's now his era. He has slain the Rainmaker. He's already defeated the Best Bout Machine. The only tale to complete this thing to come full circle is to defeat Hiroshi Tanahashi. He has defeated him in the G1 Climax, but in terms of a title run with Hiroshi Tanahashi, that should be something of spectacular. I hope it happens at the G1 Supercard later this year in April. That would be freaking awesome. But yeah, now we got this big momentum for Jay White. He defeated Kazuchika Okada, the Rainmaker. He's now leader of Bullet Club. He's now basically in control. He has to have all the power. He has a factor in Chaos, I believe. I still think there's a spy in there. I could be wrong. That was the last thing I heard. I don't know if they progressed with that storyline. We might see a New Year's Dash. later. But yeah. Jay White just got the biggest win of his career, defeating Kazuchika Okada clean. 1, 2, 3, no excuses, no steel chair shots to the head, no low blows. He pinned him 1, 2, 3. Yes, he tried to cheat, but Okada managed to stop him before he could. So Jay White beat him with his own power. That should say something. And also, this kind of should come in a... If Jay White does face Kenny Omega again before something big happens for him, that should serve a psychological effect, because it took Kenny Omega 4 times to try to defeat Okada in his purest form. Like, let's see, he did beat him in the G1 Climax, I will acknowledge that, but it wasn't for the title. But here's the thing. Kenny Omega lost within 47 minutes in the first fight. In the second match, Okada managed to retain due to a draw. Jay White won. Okada won the war, basically, when he was pinned by Kenny Omega, but the title wasn't on the line at the G1 Climax. And then Kenny Omega finally defeats Okada for the title in an hour-long match. Jay White, however, defeats Rainmaker Okada in 14 minutes and 20 seconds. That should say something of how crazy they're pushing this guy. Like, to defeat Okada for the second time in a row and do it in less time than Omega tried, which is basically nearly over 4 hours in total. That should say something of how they're pushing Jay White to be the next face of this company. It's going to be an interesting future where Jay White's going to go with this. I'm looking forward to his rise, and I hope he really does capture the IWGP Championship this year alone, defeating Hiroshi Tanahashi. If he can do that, then he has cemented his legacy, and he's only 26 years old. Kenny Omega's on his list. Kazuchika Okada's on his list. Hiroshi Tanahashi is already on his list. But if he defeats him for a title, that should say what's going to happen for the future in New Japan Pro Wrestling. He's breaking down the three big pillars of New Japan's golden age they were in. Hiroshi Tanahashi was New Japan's rebirth. Okada was the golden age. Omega was basically the Bullet Club age. Now Jay White's bringing in the Cutthroat age. So I'm looking forward to that. So those were my thoughts on Jay White versus Kazuchika Okada, Switchblade versus the Rainmaker at Wrestle Kingdom 13. This was Neo Reality Entertainment. For if you like, comment, subscribe, and donate, and stay tuned for more.